Hi everyone, in today's page I have no negative space and I am fighting with clogged sprays. Welcome to my channel, it's Asia here, Lemon Creation, and I'm gonna be working today on this small tiny piece of watercolor paper, and that's the first page of my new art journal which I'm gonna put together. My plan for this journal are as follow. There gonna be no pages with negative space, so I want to do a kind of a magical art journal. And as I mentioned, this is my very first page, and I'm using a mix of sprays. So I'm using distress stains, but mostly Lindy sprays. And I've been designer for Lindy's over a few years time, but that dates already. I stopped designing for Lindy's a few years ago, and I have a lot of sprays, and some of them haven't been used for some time, and they are actually starting to clog, which is normal. I never had really problems with Lindy's sprays, but when they are old and they haven't been used for a moment, even if I am keeping them nice and clean, they are clogging after a while. So I was fighting here a little. I also noticed that with sprays, when you are spraying and you have older sprays, they don't spray very well. It's better to actually spray them when you hold them vertically. But if you hold them vertically, you cannot actually, well, everything kind of falls because, well, gravity. So that's what I didn't want to do. And when you struggle with spray, the best way is to either apply them with the this kind of a straw, I don't remember the proper name of it, like I'm doing right now, or with a paintbrush. So never ever throw your sprays which clog, which don't spray anymore. And to keep them, to prevent actually the water accumulating on the edges, it's better also to spray the back of the card with water, so like that the paper stays kind of flat. And you're gonna see later on that I had a small issue with the application with the with this straw which goes into the bottles. I actually paper was already so wet when I was doing that I actually accidentally made a small lines with the sharp edge of the straw, and these lines are visible later on the photos, so you're gonna see them at the end of this video. They are not that bad actually. In this case I didn't mind because I kind of wanted to make, you know, the middle of the paper like kind of a circle and the brightest part, and then the colors going a little bit darker and darker until the edges which are gonna be almost completely black. And because I have a lot of water on the paper, colored water, so the paint, I took some pre-cutted to ATC size papers, and I just add a little bit of color instead of just throwing it or removing it with the tissue. I just dipped, as you've seen, the papers, and I'm gonna do it once again. And so like that I have my basis for another set of ATC cards. So nothing goes to waste if we can do it, you know, and if we can keep the paint from instead of just throwing it or just cleaning it with the tissue, it's better to use it on other projects. But I like to use the tissue, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I think using the tissue is better than anything else. You kind of stop the paint from going where you don't want it to go, from accumulating in places you don't want it to go to accumulate. And so I always have a tissue at hand, or it could be a piece of cloth or whatever. And so like that I can have the control, especially if you are using sprays or even watercolors, which are highly like, you know, they need to have a high amount of water. So then it's very good to actually do it and just dab the excess with the tissue. And so as you can see, I'm coming and going with the sprays and adding colors a little bit. When I'm doing that with this straw or nozzle, I don't think it's a nozzle, I think it's like a straw to me. I'm trying to be careful not to make the paints, you know, dirty with the other colors which are already on the page, so you have to be careful with that. And here I decided to add a little bit of blue, and that's the only dark blue. I actually wanted a little bit darker blue than this one, but that's the only one which I had from Distress Stains, and I was not very happy with it the moment I put it. As you can see, I'm trying to fix it a little bit with the brush, and you can already see the lines the straw made on the paper. I'm sure it's not the straw. It's kind of bothering me, this word. Thank you in advance, because I know in the comments you're gonna let me know how is it called properly, and probably I know this, just the word disappeared from my mind. And so here is the scrap piece of paper on which I was working, which is super cool because I'm gonna cut it and make another set of ATC cards. I love this, you know, these beautiful colors which are just, you know, magically happening there in the background, kind of, in the background of the background. And so this is the finished page. And I am not a big fan of this blue, navy blue, which I added at the very end. So I am gonna kind of cover it with this Villainous portion. I think it's called Distress Oxide. Just add a little bit of this purple and violet, which I actually missed and which I didn't get from the sprays. When you are mixing normally violet or purple with the orange or yellow, be careful, because very often we are getting a kind of a matte color, brown, but I didn't really mix with the purple one. I mixed more with the Amethyst, and so it was not a big problem, and I got tiny, like, you know, pieces of brownish color, but they actually add to the charm to the card. But if you add really strictly yellow and violet, be careful, because very often you will get a matte color. So that's when the tissue comes in handy, because before the colors start to react together, you can just dab them off with the tissue. And as you've seen, I darkened the edges a little bit with the archival ink and the blending tool. And now I am using my stamping platform, because I was not sure if the stamping is gonna go smoothly. And I'm using the set of my stamps. This one is before Rebirth, and I am stamping this stamp in particular very delicately. I'm not adding too much ink, because this is gonna be the branches, or these are gonna be the branches which are in the background of other branches. If you don't know what I mean, just be patient, and you're gonna see it in a moment. And I think I could have even made them a little bit brighter than that, but they are quite okay. And so I am not even trying to, you know, make them darker. It's just I'm twisting my card so, you know, I can properly do the stamping. And so like that, you know, because you cannot stamp on the edges are quite thick, so the edges of the stamping platform, so you have to twist your card and move it, and so like that you can stamp without any issues. And I decided to add my weird pots. That's the set of my that's the very new set of my stamps. And I think it was 1 week ago when I actually got the 4 sets of new stamps and 2 sets of stencils. They are almost sold out. I'm not sure. I hope I'm gonna get them back quite soon, but that's one of the that's one piece from one of the sets. And these ones I'm trying to actually press a little bit harder. They remind me a little bit of Lavinia stamps. I think right now when I'm looking at it, I think Lavinia has also pots, not exactly like this one, because those are mine, but yeah, I think they have also a set of pots. I think, as far as I remember, it's been a long time since I haven't checked out Lavinia's. And I wanted to make something magical, so that's why I decided to add the pots. I prefer actually the, for this page, I prefer the full ones, you know, the ones which are not empty inside. But well, and the next step in making this kind of frame out of the leaves and pots is to add another set of stamps. That's one of my very favorite one. It's called the branch out, and in this case I am really adding quite a lot of ink, and I'm pressing really hard, so like that the leaves are kind of on the first plan, I think. They are not really in the background, and they are more clearer and blacker. So that's also a very good thing to do when you are doing a background like that with the foliage and with plants and stuff and branches. It's good to actually add like a impression, not very clear impression in the background, so like that, you know, you can see, you can have this deepness on your pages. And that's why these leaves which are on the foreground, yes, I got the word foreground, they are much clearer and more visible. And once again, I need to twist my card. I really love this stamping platform. It's so useful when you have like textured paper, or when you have new stamps also, because new stamps, they need a little bit of time before they actually start stamping super well. Because there is always this stickiness to the stamp, and sometimes, you know, they are not working as well as they should if you don't use the stamping platform. That's why I absolutely love the stamping platform. And I don't know if you've noticed, I have the piece of craft foam underneath, because it's also making the paper kind of, and the stamp sink into it and stamp better. And now I'm adding just small bits and pieces to make the edges of the card a little bit darker. And so basically adding, with one stamp, adding a few leaves here and there. Because if you're trying to do a thing which has the depth, you know, you have to make sure that your edges are quite dark, as opposed to the middle, which is quite bright. So once again, I'm using the Onyx black, the same ink I was stamping with, to just add a little bit of dark to the edges. I was fighting here for a moment with the focal point. I didn't know what to put, and finally I feel like I don't really have a great focal point for it, for this page, but I went finally with the my digifile Mysterious Fairies, I think it's called, and you can find it also in my shop. It's a digi bundle, and I decided that this fairy is the most appropriate for this page, if it comes to the size and also the coloring, although I'd rather have something even more darker, I think, for this page. Not because I want the page to be dark, but I think that it would look nicer, I think. But maybe I'm mistaken, maybe you're gonna like it. And I'm using my Ohuhu brush marker just to make the edges of the fairy black, because you cannot, if you do a dark page, you cannot just leave it. Well, you can, but it's not gonna be nice if you leave the focal point with the edges which are white. It's not gonna look nice, it's not gonna look finished, it's not gonna match the page. So that's why it's so important that for the dark pages you always darken the edges of the pieces, the focal points you cut out. And yeah, in this case, if I left the edges, you would see the white parts, you know, sticking out, and there is no white on this page, so it wouldn't work. And I'm using my Caran crayon. It's a pencil, watercolor black pencil. I'm not gonna be using water with it. I just wanted to add a tiny bit of shadowing, and I was thinking for a moment, should I use water? But no, I will not use, or I didn't use water, simply because you know, all these sprays, they are water activated. So if I use water, I will make a little bit of a mess with the colors, and I really loved the depthness, you know, in the middle of the page, and I didn't want to just make it you know, messy. And so that's why I'm using this stump. No, it's not stump, it's blending. Yeah, it's blending stump, I think, actually. And trying to blend a little bit of the harsh lines of the pencil with this tool. And so like that, there is a tiny bit of shadowing, not a huge one, but a tiny bit. And because I was trying to also add with, a little bit with Stabilo, but it didn't really work, and Stabilo is huge, so you know it's better to maybe not even do it. I didn't actually, I was so delicate that finally I didn't see a difference between those two pencils. Since it's a little bit of magic page, I decided to add a glossy accents, and I thought that they would be just perfect for the pots, and just like that maybe I'm making a kind of like a dewdrops or raindrops, wherever. When you use a glossy accent, it's very important that you actually remove the air bubbles if you're using it on the bigger surface, or if you do a small drops, it's also very important that they are actually kind of very round, so they dry later, they dry round, and they make this impression of, you know, of a drop instead of something flat. And I've noticed that if I keep my bottle horizontally, no, vertically, sorry, the drops are much better. And as you've seen, my fairy has problem with her legs. It's missing the bottom part of it, so that's the super cool place to actually put a sentiment, which I am also darkening the edges of. And this is a sentiment which comes from my Very Sassy Words, my book of sentiments. And if you want to check out my shop, I'm gonna give you a link in the description box below and in the first pinned comment at the bottom of this video. And I decided also to add a little bit of sparkle, not too much, but just a tiny bit in the bigger drops. I wasn't not sure how is it gonna behave with the glossy accents, but at the end it actually didn't really affect the glossy accents if it comes to the volume of it, but it just gave a little bit of sparkle. And so that's the finished page. You can see the lines from the straw of the spray bottle, but I don't mind that much. It's not a big deal, I find it. And in general, the page I really love. As you can see, no white space here. Thank you so very much for watching. Thank you so much for commenting, visiting my shop, and I hope I'm gonna see you in the next video. I wish you a really beautiful day. Bye bye.